Who has seen the wind? Neither you nor I. But when your canopy is on its side, the wind has passed you by. Oh boy. Hey, Nomies. Welcome back to the MT and me. Well, it got a little windy last night, and I didn't notice anything first thing this morning because, as I've probably told you before, when I go to work, it's dark. And I don't normally look over here. Not that I'd have seen this anyway, but apparently the wind did a number on my work canopy. Now, you may remember this used to be turned upright and was way over here in front of Pearl. Gave me a nice sheltered, shady area so I could work at the front of the engine. It's kept the rain off of me. It's kept the sun off of me. And now here it lies with more than a few rips in it. I don't know if I'll be able to salvage this thing or not. But thing is, there's some more severe weather coming our way. We are just at the first of the week, and the prediction is that starting tomorrow, I think, it's supposed to get rainy and possibly have that turn to sleet or freezing rain because the temperature is going to plummet. It's about 40 something out here today, not too bad. And it'll get that high tomorrow, but tomorrow night it's going to take a nosedive down to somewhere in the mid-20s, and that could give us a frozen precipitation. It may not. Some gusty north wind is going to come in with that system though, so with more wind coming, I'm really not going to bother putting this canopy back up. I think I'm just going to lower the legs and kind of set it over to one side until we get through this harsh, windy, cold weather, and then we'll see where we stand after that. In the meantime, let's see about getting this thing away from leaning on Pearl. Okay, maybe if I leave it sitting like that, it can survive another windstorm. Otherwise, I'd have to fold it completely up. I'm just going to play it by ear and see what happens. Either way, I think my blue cover is pretty well shot. I don't know if any amount of Gorilla Tape can repair it or not. But I'm not going to worry about it till the weather gets better. At least all the plastic I just put on Pearl is intact still. At least for now. Oh, and of course, since it was a windy night, Grandfather Oak lost a couple of more big limbs in the process. More fuel for the woodpile. All right, Nomies, and welcome back. It's 2, maybe 3 days later. I actually have forgotten, but to bring you up to speed, we survived round 2 of winter's wrath here in the Mid-South. Yeah, it got really cold. We had an evening of, turned out just a little bit of freezing rain and sleet. Not a whole lot. We here in our southern part of the state got by okay. I mean, we didn't even have the roads icing over the next morning. Other parts, the further north you went, not so lucky. Some places got as much as 7 inches of snow up in the northern counties. So yeah, we made it okay. But the temperatures are another thing. The last night and the night before last, which would make this 2 days later since we actually talked, temperatures have dipped to about 15 for an overnight low. Daytime highs have struggled into the upper 20s. Right here now it's right at freezing. Technically I think it says it's 30, but 30, 31, 32, so we're right at the freezing mark. We have yet to actually get above freezing now since I spoke to you last in the first part of this video when it was, I think, in the 40s. That sounds warm now. But anyway, there's no wind out here today to speak of, and the sun is shining, so even 31 degrees or so doesn't feel as cold. And plus, we've had 2 nights at 15. You know, this is balmy compared to that. Anyway, all that being said, I'm out here to try and do a little bit more on Pearl. It's cold, I'm cold, my fingers are cold, so we're not going to do much. But I have an idea rolling around in my head here that I want to share with you. It's one I mentioned before, but I want to get your input on it. Okay, so here goes. It concerns this. This is Pearl's old fuel line. This end originally attached to the fuel pump, and this end originally attached to the carburetor. But as I told you a couple of days ago, it got cut. You can see someone took a pair of snippers to it when they were stealing the carburetor off Pearl. So basically, this tube is junk at this point because too much of it has been cut off to reuse it. I need to replace it. And my question today is going to be how to best do that. But first, let me try and show you where this was. And it's going to be trying to show you because there's a lot of stuff in the way now. Here's the fuel pump. All right. Here's the output. We have the input already hooked back up. Here's the, you remember, because I took this off and checked it out and put a new washer. Yeah, gasket in it. Washer, gasket, whatever that thing is that goes between the pump and the block. There's a new one in there. The pump itself seems to be okay. Anyway, this is the output. Goes in here, diaphragm pumps it out here, and then it has to go up to the carburetor. This is the tube it went through. Now, see what I said? I told you there's a lot of stuff in the way here, like an alternator and fan belts and the dipstick tube, the brand new shiny dipstick tube, even the fan, which I probably need to tighten a little bit. Apparently, shouldn't be able to move that around, but I will. Mental note: tighten the fan. Help me remember that. The fan belt, that is. Okay. All right. Let's see how successful we're going to be getting this up through here. because that's really where it goes. Get it over the transmission tube lines. Oh, look. Hey, look at there. Okay. All right, so that goes right there. This part obviously went behind the dipstick and the alternator mount. And, well, that ain't happening now. Not without taking all of this stuff off. And we're not doing that. But anyway, it goes on around here, and then this is the point where they snipped it off. If it went up against the engine block, it would be about 3 inches closer to the carburetor area, but it would still come up short, because like I said, they, rather than taking the time, they had to unbolt the carburetor to take it off. Why they didn't take, 10 more seconds to unscrew the fuel line? Maybe the cops were coming, I don't know. But anyway, I hope this gives you the idea of where this line should be. Now, let's see if I can get it out of here. Now, like, oh, all right, okay. All right. So here's our situation. The fuel line looked something like this, obviously contoured to the engine block. And obviously it was put on with the alternator off, and perhaps even with the dipstick tube out of there too, so that it could conform right up against the block. This end's going to come up about 3 to 5 inches short because it's been cut off. So basically, this sat there like this. This went into the fuel pump and went da-da-da-da-da to the line. This went across and then made like a 90-degree turn and went into the front of the carburetor. Now, this is steel tubing. It's what they used to make the original one. Good stuff. Lasts forever. What I have left is still in wonderful shape. No rusting, no decay whatsoever, except for one very badly crimped end. So this is good stuff, and you can still get it and get replacement. You can buy 1 or 2 different alloy compounds that are probably just as good nowadays. That might be a little easier to work, to bend. You really have to have the tools to bend this because it does not want to give. Like I said, it's steel. Copper is really too soft. Would it work? Yeah, probably. If you had the right size, which I think this is 3/8. If I had to guess, I'd say 3/8. Copper would work, but it's almost too soft, and copper tends to react to heat. This thing gets hot. It's right against the engine block, so as the engine heats up, so does this. You want something that does not warp or change size with heat. Okay, so plain old copper like you might find in your household plumbing, not the best thing. There are copper compounds that are designed to withstand heat, and those could work pretty good as fuel lines. In fact, they even sell it as a fuel line substitute. Now, the other options are, 1, a good old rubber hose. Here again, this is a hot area, and rubber and heat do not necessarily go well together. We have some rubber compounds, some treatments that are very heat resistant. And if you do have a rubber hose, it's not directly up. It's not going to touch the block like this thing. You don't have to conform it to the block. You can route it through to where it has airspace around it, and that makes a big difference when it comes to heat transfer. Heat is transferred by conduction much more than it is by convection, so hot air is not nearly as bad on rubber as hot metal against it would be. Okay, rubber hose. And the other thing is rubber hose degrades with time fairly quickly on a cosmic scale. So it might not be the longest lasting solution. Of course, Pearl's, already lasted a large part of her lifetime, so it might work out just fine on her, but I want something better. There are other lines that have a metal covering on the outdoor, usually a flexible metal shielding, and then rubber treated rubber, that is, inside. The rubber is treated, and I forget the initials of the chemicals involved, but it's specifically to be resistant to fuels and other possibly caustic compounds. Fuel, hydraulic oil, things of that nature. These are the lines that they use in such applications. I can get that and use that as a fuel line and put it on. And here again, that's a flexible line, so all I have to do is get a length, which is going to be 2 feet. I'd say between 24 and 30 inches would be fine. Probably 24 inches would work out just great. But that's just a guess. I'd have to measure a little more carefully. So there you go. Several possibilities on what to do with this. And, of course, what I want from you is what you think. We could go with steel line. That is the tradition. The original replacement would be that. We could go with something that isn't steel, but looks like it, and is used like it, and that would work too. Or we could just get totally radical and get some of that really nice looking silver metal coated fancy dandy treated rubber lines, hook that thing up and just let it run from point A to point B and not really worry about it anymore. You see that on performance cars and dragsters, racing cars, things like that. You see a lot of that. So, and it's a very good application here. My question to you is, what do you think? Just kind of weigh the factors with me. You got cost, of course. I don't want to spend a small fortune on this, but I'm willing to pay for something that will work and last. So that's a factor. Looks. Pearl is not getting restored to factory condition, so I'm not that concerned about having an original type replacement. If I get one and can make it work, great, no problem. I have no trouble with that at all. But that's not really a consideration. If I can get a piece of fancy-dancy silver tube that does the same thing, yeah, go for it. Yeah, because she's not a show vehicle, and I want something that will work and last, as opposed to exactly replacing something like this. Okay, so there's that. Those are considerations. Ease of installation is another one. If I make another one of these, I'm going to have to take half the front of the engine off to put it on. I got to take the alternator off, the alternator bracket, got to get that oil dipstick stem out that I worked so hard to get in. Watch those videos. That was a pain. So that's a lot of work. That immediately is about 5 strikes against one of these in my book. Now maybe you can talk me out of it. I don't know. That's up to you. Give it a shot. But give me some feedback here, boys and girls. Let me know what you think and what the best route might be to take. And I promise to consider your advice. So one of our next things here is going to be maybe next week, if we come to a decision, taking care of this fuel line. It may be a couple of weeks on down the road, but I want to get it out of the way and taken care of, because I'm getting real serious about getting this carburetor into running condition so that we can drop Pearl's gas tank, clean it out, clean out the rest of the fuel system, and try to get this motor running. At least that's the plan. And you know how the best laid plans are. Let me know what you think. What's the best fuel line replacement here, okay? Comment below. And while you're down there, click a like. Subscribe if you haven't already. Be sure to join us each and every week here on the MT and Me. I am very cold now, so this is going to stop where we are. We're forecast to get much warmer weather next week. So maybe I can get out here and actively work on Pearl a little bit more. At least I hope so anyway, because I'm obviously itching too. But thanks for staying with me today, and I hope you are staying warm as well, wherever you are. I'm about to go in and get warm. So I'm going to take my fuel line and find some heat. I love you, Deley. Thanks again for joining us here on the MD and Me. I'm a very chilly Russ. We will talk later.